when Ghana gained independence, high life was popping. The people were so, enlightened and they felt empowered by the music. They were marching to high life music.
Yes, yes,
Do you know what I mean? The civil rights movement,
yes,
was
yeah,
marching
yeah,
to soul, gospel. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? And it was empowering the people. And it's the same right now.
Living a dream, living the African dream.
Welcome to the Pan-African Lifestyle Show. This is the ultimate destination for celebrating Pan-African brilliance, culture, and the global Black influence. I am your host, Harrison Paul, and today, pals, yet again, you know what we do here. We're having a very, very important and powerful conversation around reclaiming African identity and celebrating African excellence. Our guest for today, he is a visionary. He's a British-Ghanaian who has come back with a bang and put Pan-Africanism at the center of his career. We always love a brother who comes back with a conscious motive and comes back with a mission and comes back with a fight and some fire. And today you're going to hear it straight from him. You feel that today in this interview, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it and tune in. So enjoy. Fuse ODG, how are you, my brother?
I'm blessed, bro. How are you?
I'm very good, man. I'm very good. Brother, I just want to say you are doing something that is so necessary for the UK scene,
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
UK Black experience, if I be a little bit more specific.
Yeah,
I want to
thank you.
know, I'm really eager to see what sparked this, I want to say, awakening.
I think I've always been people led. I've always been community led from early. So
Mm,
from growing up in South London, Mitcham,
mm,
um, we were pretty much brought up by the media, brought up by TV, and obviously, our external environment. Of course, when I'm at home, I'm at home, and home is home. With my mom, my dad, and them cooking like African food, and me feeling a sense of belonging at home. But
right.
when I
Yeah.
step outside, I'm seen as African, but in a way where so the external perception of how people see me, which is different from my home.
Yeah.
And growing up in London, I always felt like there was a certain perception that was given to Africans that was so negative that made me outside of my home, made me want to disassociate with African. Which was very sad, but that was our reality when we were growing
Yes,
up.
it was. Yeah.
And I came to realize that the media had a major part to play in,
Mm,
because whenever people thought about Africa, they would just think about poverty, hunger, famine, war, all these negative things that was associated with it due to the kind of images that the media would portray. So, as young people growing up in London, there wasn't a sense of pride in being African, and I always
definitely.
felt some type of way about that. So as I got older and started falling back in love with myself, I was hearing amazing music coming from the continent. I decided to spend some time over there. And when I touched down back in Ghana, because I actually did primary school in Ghana, then I did secondary up to now. When I touched down in
Mm,
Ghana and I saw the beauty and I saw the 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 talent and I saw the
mm,
entrepreneurs and I saw, the tech, just all these things that I never thought that I would ever see in Ghana, even though I even grew up there as a child. Somehow they were able to undo everything that I knew that made me proud of being Ghanaian and made me feel like actually being African is a poor thing. Being African is a negative thing. But
right.
touching down on ground and seeing the reality and the truth of what I experienced, that really brought me back home for me to actually, it made me remember who I was. It
Yes.
made me remember the power that we have as a people. Because my first hit, Azonto, was made
Right.
from Ghana. It was because
Yeah.
of Ghana that that song
Really?
existed. Exactly. I saw the people doing Azonto, doing this amazing dance. And I'm just like, I need the world to know about this dance. So I saw that with
Wow.
my own eyes. And I'm just like, The people were just having a great time. There was this sense of joy and freeness that I don't usually get when, in London. In London, if you're in a club, you step on somebody's toe, it's a whole it's a whole madness. Do you know what I mean? But in Ghana, it's like you step on somebody's toe, they even hug you. Do you know what I mean? Like they start dancing with you. So it's a whole different energy that I experienced over there. And I just wanted to share that part that I experienced, that joy that I saw in people. I just wanted to share that with the world. And that's how Azonto was born. And when I've done that and I saw how global that song went, just from me wanting to amplify that bit of joy that I saw in Ghana and saw how global it went, for me, it changed my whole perspective that we have to become our own media. We
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah.
the ones to tell our truth and our story. I was just telling a little part of our truth, and it went global and established me as an artist in a way that's never been done before. And from that day, day onwards, I was just like, this is my journey. This is what God is telling me. Like, this is new Africa. The Africa that I saw is completely different from what the media has been showing me. So it became my journey for us to tell our own stories. It became my journey for us to create awareness of the Africa that I experienced, for us to show the world the different side of Africa that the media doesn't, and also to make Africans remember, because
Yeah.
we've always been
Yeah.
beautiful, we've always been
Yeah.
talented, we've always been inventors, we've always been emperors. We just need to remember our story and
Yeah.
who we are. And that trip to Ghana really made me remember like the
Mm-hmm.
power in our truth, because I just shared that little bit of truth, and and I gained from it. And I feel like there's so much that we can all gain from if we just got lost in our truth, if we rediscover who we are, and,
Yeah.
and so from early, like, I definitely tapped back into who I'm supposed to be, and I've benefited from it in so many ways, psychologically, financially, and I just want my people to feel the same way.
And brother, really on that point, I'm listening to you and I'm hearing the passion, and I love the passion. And this is a topic that is very dear to our hearts here at Palace, Pan Africanism. But
Yeah.
the next question I think of is like, okay, but how do you get that courage? That's what amazing, because as you do know that interjecting that into your music career, where you may have white following, where you may have people who don't care. And I seen you on on ITV, and you went on there, and I was telling you offline how you went and you told her how it is. Stuff that
Yeah.
they didn't want to hear, like we were the first mathematicians. They like when we come and we're entertainers or we're dancers, but they
Yeah.
don't like when you say things like we actually are an intellectual force,
Yeah.
And I really do want to know that with loads of UK artists, but it seems that there's a risk to make this the forefront of your career. What was that feeling like for you when you were like, you know what? I know they may want a party song. I know they may want this song, but here you are talking about things that's not about just
Yeah.
gal them in the party or whatever. What was that like for you making those first records on this project?
I think you first have to start looking at what your purpose is, right? Identifying what your purpose is. And then also you also have to identify what success is as well.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? You have to identify those things in order to know how to maneuver in your career, whichever field that you're in. Because a lot of times we place value on the wrong things and class as success. And and for me, what success is and what my purpose is us remembering who we are. It's us
Mm-hmm.
being able to live in our true selves and our true identity. It's my daughter being able to be herself wherever she goes without having to coach.
Right.
That's success. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like with that kind of level of success, if we want to achieve that, the conversations need to start now. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it needs to start now. So when I'm at spaces like ITV and BBC, I know it's my duty to start these uncomfortable conversations so it can be normalized in the future. Because unless you start the dialogue now, the problem's gonna keep existing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, you have to identify what real success is to you, what your purpose is, what real happiness is. And for me, it's all about impact. And it's all about us being able to live in our true selves. It's all about us building a space for our sons and daughters to be able to thrive. So I can't speak for anybody else because I know that a lot of people, they feel like they have to present themselves in a certain way in order to get to certain stages in life, which is fine. But just don't forget what your purpose is. Just don't forget, like, because you have to be happy within yourself. And I can only speak for myself. I have to be happy within myself. And for me, happiness and success is being able to live in my true self. My daughter being able to live in her true self. So for me, and with that, there's no fear in being able, because I know who I am. I have no fear, and I said it in the song, like I came with a spirit of Sundiata, because I know the people who have come before me. Like these are the spirits that I'm channeling. I can't have it because I know what they built. They built empires. I know what they did in the past. So we have to really identify what our purpose is and what success really means. In order to be able to live in our true purpose and yeah, and know how to maneuver in the world that we're in today.
I really appreciate what you're saying there, and how you even have this movement. This is New Africa, and you mentioned the album and the app that you have coming as well.
Yeah.
Your purpose really is that you can actually leave a living legacy, a lasting legacy, where it's like, and I don't know why the music industry doesn't understand that. The people who we remember is like Pac. Pac gave something to us that a lot of times we actually remember Pac more for his interviews and how he spoke than for his records. And that's what you are now tapping into. Like, people even will remember you past the record and be like, this guy stood for us as an African leader. I wanted to know how the app, how did you think of that? Like, okay, let's put this together. Let's make this a whole thing.
So we've always had this long-term vision. Our vision has always been to realign the world's mental image of Africa and how Africans feel about themselves. For us to do that, we have to be able to tell our story. We have to make the African fall in love with themselves. We have to make the world see Africa in a different way. So from early, when we started the movement, This is New Africa, it was to position Africa in a positive light, where the kids can be proud of being African, where adults can be proud of being African, right? And we did that through the music. So we always knew that at the beginning of the movement, we needed to do things that would make people feel a sense of pride, right? Because you can only want to know about something if you love it. You only want to know about your favorite football team because you love them. You want to know the score. You want to know what team they lost to and why they lost to that team, and why is the referee, or why is the coach not using the right players? Like, you want to know so you can find where the team can be better. It's the same for Africa. Once we build that love for Africa, people would want to know what's happening in Congo, what's happening in Burkina Faso. It's because of the love that we're building for the continent. So we always knew that we had to develop that love for Africa in order for people to care about Africa, for them to care about themselves. So we've been doing that alongside, obviously, other, like-minded companies and artists. We've been building this movement where we now have this sense of pride. But we always knew that once the self-love comes in, there will be self-knowledge. There will be thirst for self-knowledge. And that self-knowledge is where the app comes in. It's where the education part comes in, because once you love something, you want to know more about it. But where do you go to get this knowledge? There aren't many platforms. Of course, there are many historians doing their thing.
Right, definitely.
Right? But the presentation of how we want to do it to the world, because what we've done, we've actually just, it's something that's already there, that's working already, right? But what we're doing is just packaging it, partnering with all the different historians and all the different platforms, and bringing it to the world in a way that's never been done before, right? In an innovative way, in a more palatable way, in a way where it's easier to digest, right? That's what we're doing, because it already exists. Because of all these other historians, that are doing amazing work on ground to get it. So for us, we just needed to find a way to link all the historians who are doing their thing. So on our board, we have Anthony Browder, we have Lavinia, who's working on with a black curriculum.
Nice.
Uh,
Nice.
have Who else do we have on the board? Um, I'm forgetting some of our board members, but we have some powerful
Yeah.
historians on
Yeah.
board. We
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
Nigel
Definitely.
Stewart, so I can't believe I didn't forget Nigel. Nigel, I'm always spending time with Nigel, so it didn't actually look up to. But Nigel is the head of the School of Pan African Thought, right?
Nice.
And he's been doing amazing work in terms of writing our own curriculum, writing our
Mm-hmm.
own stories. So Nigel is in touch with so many different writers and different scholars
Mm-hmm.
that he's the one that actually helped us put the curriculum together.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
again, it's just all about linking up with all of the different historians and us coming up with the building a curriculum that's just going to serve us, which is
Nice.
teaching our history in a way that's never been done before by the usual schools that didn't really teach us about our history that's
Nice.
surpassing 400 years, history that really empowers us, history that's from an African lens. So the work has already been done. It's just us partnering with them, using a platform that we have and taking it to the world and packaging it in a way where it's easier for the world to take in. So we always knew that there was going to come a time where the thirst for knowledge would be there with that
Yeah.
sense of
Yeah.
self-love. And that's the stage that we're at now.
I can see you're a God-fearing man. You already mentioned it. You also mentioned it on your record. So the Holy Spirit will always give you that foresight, and it was
Yeah.
brewing your spirit for a
Yeah.
while. That's why you're prepared. I know that you have to rush away. I wanted to ask you one important question. Every guest that comes on the show, we always ask them what the African dream means to them. But for you today, I want to ask you that at a little bit of a different angle. You were an artist in the UK scene. I'm very much passionate, and here at Power, we're passionate about the UK scene in particular, especially for Black people, because I know it's something that we've had a completely different experience and infrastructure when it comes to black I want to say identity in comparison to America.
Yeah.
When you listen to the music here in the UK, whether it be drill, and I don't know if your inspiration for your direction also comes from maybe a dislike or a distaste for maybe the music that we produce at the moment, in regards to not calling out anybody or calling them not talented, but in regards to like the substance within Black music and what it brings. I don't know if that was behind your inspiration of like, no, we don't need this anymore. We need music that actually nourishes our soul and our spirit. So my question for you is like, when you think about the African dream, when it pertains to the UK, what is that? And when it pertains to music as well, the industry here, what is that?
I mean, if we're talking about the African dream, it wouldn't be limited to the UK in the first place. But to answer your question specifically about UK music, um, I think it's just like movies. There's so many different genres in movies, right? You have the
Right.
psychological thrillers, you have the comedy, you have the romance, and and then you have documentaries. That's more educational. There's different type of genres in visually in movies and stuff like that. So it's the same with music. Do you know what I mean? There's different types of
Mm,
music. Whichever one that you feel like listening to, because not every time that you want to listen to a song that's going to make you think. Sometimes you just want to just
mm,
relax. Do you get it? Sometimes you want to hear an instrumental. Sometimes you want to hear something that's going to empower you. You know what I mean?
mm,
It's going to get you ready for your day. Which is what
mm,
I'm doing right now, like music that will empower you, that will get you ready for the external world,
mm,
empower you inside in order to get you ready on the outside. Do you know what I
mm,
mean? So I wouldn't say that, there's a distaste for other types of music that's happening in the UK, even if there isn't a
mm,
message in it, because they all need to exist, because that's the world that we're in. Everybody is different, and if they
mm,
feel like that's what they need to make, then that's what they need to make. And if you feel like that's what you need to listen to, then you can just listen to that. But all
mm,
I know is that for me right now, I'm on a psychological journey for us to go
mm,
back into who we are.
mm,
And and it's reflecting in the music.
mm,
So I can't speak for other people, but all I know is that with everything that's happening across the continent, then music needs to align with it in order to make it successful. in order to keep the movement successful. Same with, you know, and I mentioned it in some of my other conversations. You know, when Ghana gained independence, you know, high life was popping. You know, the people were so, you know, enlightened, and they felt empowered by the music. You know, they were marching to high life music. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
do you know what I mean? The civil rights movement, you know,
yes,
was
yeah,
marching
yeah,
to soul, gospel, do you know what I
yeah.
mean? And it was empowering the people. And it's the same right now. And I even mentioned the Maroons. The Maroons, you know, they were marching to the African drums, you know, and that's what was empowering them. Haiti was doing the same thing. So it's the same right now. I see the same thing right now, that there's something happening, something
Yeah,
revolutionary
you're right.
happening across the continent, and the music needs to align with it. So I'm just stepping up as an artist because I already have a catalog that's killing it globally. So as an artist, I want to step up and align with what's happening, because I always knew that this stage was coming. I always knew there was going to be this stage where people would want to know what's happening across the continent, where the people, you know, our people will start, you know, stepping up and rising up, and it just needs the music to align with it in order to keep it going psychologically and spiritually, so we can keep pushing. So for me, this moment was coming. I do wish the other artists would join and be a part of this, because it's very important that we all move together. So the African dream, you know, is for all of us to move together and move in
Yeah,
unison, musically, psychologically, you know, spiritually, physically. We just all need to unite. Financially, we need to unite, do business with each other, empower each other. Because right now,
right.
more than ever, it's time for us to spend more time. It's time for us to do business together. It's time
Yeah,
for us to have ideas together and execute it together. It's time for us to stand in solidarity with each other, and see how we can push together, see how we can rebuild the continent, see how we can create a world for our children to thrive in. You know, what we didn't have, our children can have. So the African dream is definitely for all of us to move in unison, very rooted in Nkrumah's philosophy, which is, you know, that one Africa, you know, all of us actually moving together as one. That's the African dream. You know,
yeah,
as much as we're all different in our ways, there's still a way we can all move in unison,
yeah.
because there's more power in unity. So that's the African dream. Is very much rooted in Nkrumah's philosophy. But musically, I just know that now is the time for us to align with that philosophy, you know, and really empower the people. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
You're using your influence the right way, honestly, and I just hope
thank you.
the YNs will lock in. And
Yeah, they
I'll bump
will.
into a YN on the street, and he's talking exactly like how you are. I'm thinking, what's going on? Fuse done got in your head, huh?
Rah, rah,
That's what
rah,
I'm hoping
rah.
for. That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping the YNs and now gonna start
Yeah,
talking like, you know what I mean, and
that's
start
it,
being
man.
militant. You got the army jacket on in the right direction, not
Nah, thank
towards
you.
each other, but towards the real thing. And like you said, we've been indoctrinated to hate ourselves. So
Yeah,
I love when people like you use your platform and your influence. And with that, I just want to say thank you. I know you're a busy guy. You're really, it's
thank
good to
you.
see you back. It's good to see you using your moment for African people. You could
Thank
have
you.
just made it about Fuse. You could have just made it about making more
Ah,
hits, making more money, popping more bottles. But you're doing it for, let's keep it 100. We know
yeah,
there's some brothers who are enjoying
yeah,
too much to think about how our youngins are being
yeah,
affected.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I say I have huge respect for brothers like you,
Ah, thank
because
you. I really
everyone
appreciate
else
it.
can just often just say, he's preaching. I ain't got time for the preaching. And you know that can happen a lot with the music.
Yeah, that means
But
a lot
it's
to me, man.
working for you. It's working for you, and you deserve that moment because you sacrificed your career for people. You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
And that should be
That's it.
something that should set example for people. So definitely, I thank you for coming on today, man. We're wishing you
Ah,
many
thank you
more.
for
You're a
having me.
Christian. We're praying for you that you breaking every chains within our community, that we will
Thank you,
be
bro.
free and we'll be people will
Go.
fall in love with ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, thank you. I appreciate that, man. It means a lot to me. But yeah, nah, definitely for sure. It's nice to also connect with you as well and see how you're aligning with the movement and the mission as well. It gives us that energy and that ginger to
Right.
keep going. And we will keep going.
Right. Man, God bless you. Keep going. I'm going to tell everyone to stream that album. This
Yes,
was
sir.
Fuse ODG. This
Yes,
is
sir.
an African leader officially. You get that stamp today as you're using your platform for the right reasons and the greater good of African people. So thank you
Nah,
so
thank you
much,
so much.
brother. God
Thank
bless
you
you.
so much. Yes, sir. So stream the album Spirit of New Africa, everyone, and also download the app School of New Africa. Rah, rah, rah.
Take Take care. Thank you so much
Nice
for
one,
watching.
brother. I love.
Living a dream, living the African dream.